Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. All right, so I want to start with something I've noticed in the last, throughout this year so far is the YouTube channel. It's very active
Yeah.
now. What I mean? Like, what prompted that for you to just go full deep into that stuff?
You know how everyone's always telling me that I speak well and then I have some good ideas and I have some advice for young guys coming up and stuff. And I coach for a long time and I see some things that I can help out other people. And I was like, you know what? I should do it online and reach as many people as possible. So it's my way to kind of give back in a way of like what I know, what I've experienced throughout life and something to also have fun on the side.
Yeah, for sure. And are you planning on like doing like interviews and like adding all this different types of
Yeah, yeah,
content? Is
yeah.
that what you're gonna do?
Yeah, like I did my first Zoom interview with Arnold Allen, but I
Oh,
also
that's
got a
cool.
chance to work with Sportsnet, which is like a sports channel here in Canada. And I got to cover UFC 303 and I did some interviews with fighters there. And so like, yeah, I think it's good for like setting up retirement also. Like I'm not gonna do it now like full time, but Sportsnet liked me so much that they said I can come back anytime I want to do like a UFC or a UFC show, which is great.
Is it a lot easier being on the other side of the interview, like being the interviewer?
Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, this is actually a great question because I was when I was doing the interviews over there for UFC 303, the producer was so nice to me. Like, obviously I made some mistakes here and there. Like it was my first time doing
Mm.
interviews, and he was so polite and nice when he corrected me. I was like, wow, it's so much easier being an interview. You don't get punched in the face when you make a mistake, and the guy doesn't yell at you and scream at you. He's like, no, those kind of producers are gone. That culture is dead. So
Yeah.
it's way nicer. Like now in the industry, everything's so nice on TV that it's a much cushier job than fighting. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's changing. The MMA media landscape is changing to where now the fighters are able to do double duty. Like you guys
Yeah.
can create your own media little companies in it, in advance of retirement.
Yeah, it's good, and I'm trying to follow in those footsteps too. Like Chael Sonnen is huge,
Oh,
Sugar
yeah.
Sean O'Malley's huge. So like, yeah, it's a great way to like get ready for retirement and also do it while you're still active to try to build a
Mhm.
fan base and everything. And I also think there is some skills to it. It ain't easy to do what you guys do either, for sure, because you have to be able to ask the right questions and things like that and keep the flow going. And obviously, like I have to be careful that when I'm live interviewing, I don't stutter too much. Like sometimes I think faster than I can speak, so I gotta learn to slow myself down and stuff. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's like it is mental. Like you get in your
Yeah,
head like when it's live, like you're like thinking of like what to ask next, but then you gotta listen to what they're talking about at the same time.
exactly, exactly. And what's cool is that like they told me that I was only really gonna do like one interview a day.
Mhm.
And then last minute they got the okay from UFC to do like a 2 hour live weigh-in special show. So they're like, yeah, could you do like 2 hours straight on TV? I'm like, yeah, let's go, man. So I did a 2 hour live special. And it was pretty cool. They loved it. UFC liked it a lot too. So that was really good. Got good feedback from them. And actually, some of the people in the UFC told me to keep up my YouTube channel and to get a
Mhm.
lot of practice and stuff. So like maybe I can have a job in the future. So it'd be good.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, until then, you're just gonna be fighting in the
Fighting,
UFC in
baby.
the octagon. Yeah, yeah, and you're on a roll right now. Let's talk about the last fight against Javid Basharat. Impressive unanimous decision win. He was very, very highly touted. You've gotten into this like mode of just crushing all of that. In the last couple of fights. Let's talk about what you prepared for that fight in camp that worked really well against him.
Yeah, well, obviously I was training really hard and like we're doing a lot of conditioning because he got a lot of like action-packed fights. He doesn't get a lot of finishes, but we know that it was gonna go more likely to go 15 minutes than not to go 15 minutes. Very durable. He's got a good chin. And we knew that he mixed the wrestling really well with his striking because he's got like Taekwondo style striking, but he always decides to shoot around in round two because his footwork is very active. So I'm sure he gets tired. And to keep crushing the guy, I think what he does is he scores the takedown to maul them on the ground because he's got really good ground and pound. So that way, when they get back up, he's not as tired because he was on top, and the guy was even more tired now, and that way he can continue doing his footwork. So part of the plan was to bring in some guys to try to take me down in camp for like the 2 months. We did a lot of like anti wrestling, sprawling, Granby rolling, and things like that. Also, obviously, just in case he got me down, we did a lot of work of getting off my back. So I brought in Ryan Hall, and he helped me with that. I also brought inside Yakub Kakramanov to try to take me down for as many times as possible. He's a really good high level wrestler, man. He's done sambo his whole life, and you see when he's done in the UFC, he takes down everybody. So and then I also brought in Ton Lee, who was like a MMA world champion at ONE FC, and he helped me actually figure out a problem. Like 2.5 weeks before my fight, he adjusted my stance a little bit. So because I was worried about Javid, like does a lot of flying knees. So I was standing in a way where I was like kind of like leaning a little bit more back because I don't want to get surprised, by a knee that I don't see. And he adjusted my stance so that I don't get pushed around, and that helped me a lot too. So just yeah, just like trying to pick apart what he's shown that he can do and make sure we don't give him any of that, and then to impose my game over time.
And after the fight, you said that it took you some time to understand the range in that fight.
Yeah.
Was there any fights in the past where you never got the range and then you kind of had this flip the switch or flip the whole game plan mid fight?
Yeah, I mean, with Ricky, it was like that. Like with
Okay.
Ricky, I couldn't understand what the hell he was trying to do. And he's very eccentric. He was yelling, and screaming, and jumping, and doing like weird stuff that didn't have to do with fighting. And I knew he spins a lot too, and I knew he's a wildcat and someone who's very hard to put away. And a lot of guys get tired trying to finish him. And because he was acting even more sporadic than no before, I was really taking my time and like I had to find a way to score strikes. And the thing that worked the best was the low kicks. And that's why I started low kicking more than anything. It was very hard to punch in the head because he knew I had power. And he was bobbing and weaving and rolling and doing everything he can not to give me his head. So I didn't expect to box him more because his other fights, he was a barn burner fights where he stands toe to toe and he trades, but he didn't trade with me. So I kind of had to come up with a plan in the middle of the fight. So this was like the second time it happened. So first time with Ricky, second time with Javid. Even with Eric Lang, I didn't expect him to come out and low kick me. I expected him to like try to sit back and throw crosses and take me down. But that fight ended quick, so I was happy.
You mentioned doing tests with the UFC PI. Did you get all that stuff done?
No,
And
I didn't get a
how did that
chance
work
to
out?
get
Oh,
it
you
done,
didn't.
man.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to get it done. Hopefully for the next fight, but he still stepped up the conditioning. Like Frost came up with some new stuff, just pushing me harder, and I'm ready. I'm in my best shape. I think I'm gonna be more muscular than ever for this one. And it's crazy because my age is going up, but my body's getting younger. It's almost like I feel fantastic. It's really, really good. And actually, this is like the first time in a while that somebody's like close to my age that I'm fighting.
uh, Before you got booked for this Edmonton card, what was the training like for you?
It was good, I was just training like normal. I'm always in the gym training, but once you sign the fight, then the intensity goes up. So yeah, I was just like, once I signed the contract, I started dieting more and watching my weight and getting things like I increased the intensity. And it was really cool at this training camp because Rob Font joined my team. So he came over to TriStar. He was here for a while. Calvin Cater came too. So I got to work with like, the number one guy in the bantamweight division. So that was really nice. And he was there for months, man. And he's fighting this weekend. And it was really good to train with someone who's been in the top five for, sorry, excuse me, in the top 15 for like a very long time. I think he's been in the top 15 for like 4 years or something like that. Like he's been in the top for a long time. So it was good to have a teammate who had a lot of experience in the UFC too. So we got a lot of good training together, and he was there before I even signed the fight, so it was good.
Nice. And you've had quite a few visitors. Ryan Hall
Yeah,
was he there
I
for
brought
this
him in
camp as
again, man.
well?
I bring him in all the time
Yeah.
because he does have a really good guillotine, Pedro. So we worked on our guillotine escapes, worked on making sure we don't get stuck on the bottom again. And I don't want him taking me down either. I know he shoots some of the time. He doesn't have the best takedown ratio, but I don't want to take any chances. So I'm always getting ready. I brought in Jonathan DiBella again, who's like ex ONE FC champion to spar. Like that's the intensity. This guy is a maniac when it comes to striking. It's incredible how good these guys are in ONE FC. It's like another level. And some people thought he won his last fight he lost the decision, but even Chatri said he won. So, anyways, this guy's world class. And yeah, who else did I bring in this one? I think that's it. Yeah, and then also the Laramie brothers came in. Uh, TJ Laramie and Tony Laramie. Tony just signed with Ryzen, and he's like the number one flyweight in Canada right now, and he's like just signed to the Japanese league. And TJ is an ex UFC guy who was also Canadian champion. They came in, they're a bit shorter, so they're like 5'6" and 5'5". So they're trying to take me down, kind of mimic Munoz more than some of my other teammates. I don't have a lot of guys that height at 135, so it was nice to have them come by.
Do you think Hall's coming back to fight again?
Yeah, yeah,
I
of
haven't ever
course.
heard
Yeah, yeah.
anything about him.
He just had
Okay,
so many
okay.
surgeries. He just had another ankle
Yeah.
surgery and stuff, but yeah, he's coming back.
All right. And yeah, Jonathan DeBella, what I mean? Like that guy has insane cardio and
That's
pace. Like
crazy.
if you could spar with him, then you could
Yeah.
spar with any striker in the world, I think.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, man. So I love that he brings that intensity just to make me feel like it's a fight, a real fight.
Pedro Munhoz, man, more than 20 fights in the UFC. It's pretty
Yeah,
insane. Like his
it's
fights
crazy.
in the UFC is like longer than most people's careers.
It's
What
longer
are
than
your
my
thoughts
career.
on him? Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Thoughts on him and his style.
Yeah, I know he's got a great style. You know, it's incredible that he's never been finished. 20 fights in UFC, never been finished. It's incredible. Good for him, man. I think he seems like a great guy, decent guy, family guy. You know, he's a veteran. I think he's got good power in his hands. I spoke to Rob Font about it. He told me that Pedro can crack. He told me to watch out for the guillotine. Obviously, he got finished by guillotine. You know, I mean, it happens, man. And I think his wrestling is it's so so. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's in the middle. I think that as of late, he hasn't really been using his jiu-jitsu as much as you would think because he's a really good black belt and like I know his jiu-jitsu is good. So even though he hasn't been using it of late, I still have it in the back of my mind. So I'm ready. I'm ready just in case that's his game plan. I'm ready to get off my back, and I'm looking, to do well everywhere on the feet, in the wrestling, in the grappling.
Yeah. Also, another thing known about Pedro is that he loves the calf kicks. A
Yeah,
weapon that has become so profound in MMA now. Like you see
yeah.
it all the time. Is there a way to condition your shins to like lessen the damage?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait till he calf kicks me. I can't wait. I hope he calf kicks me, man. I can't wait, man. Just gonna block it, man. That's like the calf kick. The real secret to it is block it early, block it right away. Don't give up too many.
Oh,
And he takes damage if he hits the wrong part of my bone. He's gonna take damage. And I'm aware of it. I know he likes it, like you said. He hits it a lot. He was doing it on Sean O'Malley. He does it on everybody. But the real secret is in the simplicity of just block it a lot and block it early and discourage it, counter it. Have counters ready, and that's what I have. You saw what I did to Eric Lang, and I'm sure he's expecting me to counter the low
yeah.
kick. I mean, if he's not expecting me to counter the low kick, we have a problem. But
Well, he
I'm
has a
ready to
problem.
counter it. Yeah, he's got a problem. He's got a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting him, to maybe even throw the low kick even more just to bait me out to get me to counter because he knows that I'm gonna want to counter, and I'm coming with a game plan. I'm coming with
Mhm.
stuff, man.
Yeah, yeah. You got options. That's what you
Yeah,
got.
yeah, yeah. I got options, so we'll see what his options are to my
Yeah,
options. We're playing
yeah,
chess out there, man.
for sure. Yeah, when you observe fights, do you kind of get like curious to why some guys don't check the calf kick at all? Like it's almost like they weren't even prepared for it when they knew the opponent would throw them.
Yeah, sometimes I think it's more like they dismiss it in a way because they don't think calf kicks are dangerous. I don't dismiss it, man. Like I think it's a serious problem. One of my good friends, I was cornering him, Mendel Nalo. He got stopped by a calf kick because the one calf kick that landed hit him in his peroneal nerve, and he couldn't flex his foot. He actually fell. He couldn't step down, and then the guy beat him TKO, and like he couldn't flex his foot for 20 minutes backstage. Like we had to help him get backstage, and then just 20 minutes later, he got blood flow back, and everything was working properly and whatever. But that's one of the reasons why also I respect it a lot. But maybe if you haven't experienced it directly or indirectly through a friend, you probably just think calf kicks are nothing. I think that's really what it is.
Well, I've been hit with them and they are something, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they are something. Even with the shin pads on,
Oh
they
yeah,
you feel it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Guys get stopped
insane.
in the gym all the time with even with shin pads on.
Yeah. Um, man, what does this fight mean for you? Every fight is important, but this one is
Yeah,
pretty big. Pedro was in the top 15 for a long time. He
yeah.
faced the best of the best. What does this signify, this fight?
I mean, since the fights that like I built my name enough in the UFC where they're giving me another good name, so I feel like now like I'm a solid veteran. I've made my place in the UFC. I have a few records in the UFC. My name is in a few places now, and I have my own trading card. My rookie card came out, guys. You can get those, collect them. It's really cool. I think it's a milestone. Like you said, every fight is your biggest fight. Even if let's say like I go out there and I win this fight, the fight after is gonna be the biggest fight. And then if I lose this fight, the one after is the biggest fight. So I actually came to the realization where it's more of the same. You know, it's always gonna matter. It's always important. It's always I got to do my best. And it was interesting because I did a live stream on YouTube for this weekend's fights, and Rodriguez said something really cool in the post-fight press conference. And he said he answered a question about losing 3 fights in a row and how he handled it. And he was saying in the UFC, one thing that's interesting is even when you lose, you can win. And it's true. The UFC values performance, and the fans they value performance. So if you go out there and you performed really really well and you lose, people respect you, man. Like I'll tell you, that main event was crazy. Royval versus Taira was an amazing main event, like incredible fight, one of the fights of the year for sure. Look, how can you say Taira stock goes down? It doesn't go down. No, his stock goes up. You know what I mean? His stock goes up. Like anytime Royval made a mistake and he was able to like capitalize, he did. You know, and anytime every time Tyra made a mistake, Royval capitalized. So let's say by the last round, Tyra tapped Royval. Royval's still sick, and but this time Royval beat Tyra, and Tyra's still sick. They're both sick. They're both sick. How can you say either one of those guys are no good? You know. So I'm looking for performance.
Yeah, they both deserve another 5-round main event. Like they showed that they can
Crazy,
entertain. It's
crazy.
insane. This event will be the first event where the new rule changes come into effect. So the 12-6 elbows. Where do you think those will be effective in a fight?
Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna find out, but it's gonna be interesting from on top. Like when a guy's on top, if you can, I don't know if it's gonna be good or not. If it's gonna be worth doing, I don't know if you're gonna give up something or not. But we're gonna find out how guys are gonna plan on using it. I think being on top of a guy, being on the bottom, obviously you're always allowed to do it. And then I think more than that, it's gonna be the knees are gonna be important
Yeah,
because now
yeah, the
guys can't go
grounded
four
opponent.
points. They gotta go to one knee or they gotta
Yeah,
go to one elbow. Because if you're in 4 points, doesn't matter. You're gonna get kneed in the head. You know, that
a
could have
kick
changed
too.
the
I
fight
think.
for Movsar and Arnold.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah. What
for
were you gonna
sure.
say? Sorry, I cut you off.
You could also get kicked as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So like remember
Yeah,
Aljamain Peter Yan? Like
yeah.
it's gonna be interesting. Like it's very damaging to eat a knee, man. So you're gonna see guys can't play that game no more. They're gonna have to go down to one knee quicker.
Yeah, a lot of fighters, I've been asking them this, UFC fighters, and they're saying that it's better because, the referees aren't going to be able to just kind of like interfere and
Mhm.
kind of butt into the fight as much because these rules are there now.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So it's gonna leave more time for guys to continuously go, for sure, and they won't have to give as many warnings for things. Yeah, so it's good. It's good. I think it's good and dangerous at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to leave there and not needing to go to the hospital. You know,
Oh, for
but it
sure.
is what it is.
Um, but you think defending the takedowns along the fence, the 12-6 elbows, like now, there's no like, oh, you have to do it like this. Like you could
Yeah,
just kind of just
that's
slam
another
someone's
great
back of
place.
their ear.
That's another great place where now guys can
Yeah.
just tee off there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna be very helpful.
this will be helpful. And the other guy
Yeah.
who's going for the takedown is gonna have to either climb up or let go.
Mhm,
He's gonna have to make a
mhm,
decision real quick.
for sure.
Hopefully, it's less
One last thing.
stalling.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Less stalling. That's what's
yeah.
important. The last thing, Marab's the new champ. Do you see him like defending the title multiple times, or do you think that the competition is just too stiff for someone to be a champion for a long period anymore?
You know what's crazy is the bantamweight decision. Excuse me, division is so stacked, and it really comes down to styles. You know, it's really like so many of the bantamweights are world class, high level tacticians, strategists, mental giants, athletic, in shape. They all have a deep bag of tricks that they're good at, and there's even so many guys with knockout power. It's crazy, even at such a tiny weight. It's so funny, and I think it's gonna be hard for any one guy to stay there for very long. You know, like I think Dominic Cruz is probably the longest reigning champ that didn't get caught on juice. Maybe TJ had more fights, but then he got tainted with the EPO and all that. So, Dominic Cruz is probably the best bantamweight champion. And I don't know if another guy can do that many title defenses in this era for now. I'm not saying Mirab there's zero chance he can do it, but it's gonna be tough. And it doesn't seem so confident going into this fight against Umar. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. The DJ, the Demetrius Johnson, GSP, Anderson Silva, John Jones era, where they were just like dominant. I think that's probably over, right?
Yeah, unless you're Alex Pereira, maybe you can have it. Maybe he can do it. Maybe Alex
Maybe, man.
Pereira can do it, man.
Maybe.
It's
He's
so
insane,
crazy how
man.
good he is. It's so crazy. He's
Yeah.
got the death touch, bro.
Yeah, it's insane. November 2nd, man, UFC fight in Edmonton. Amen. Thank you so much, man, for the time. All the best in this upcoming fight. Big fight and a great opponent as well. I think you're gonna be able to show out on this one too.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it, man. Guys, just want to say if you want to, like learn from us, you can always check out jujiclub.com and get like for us is instructionals.